Okay, can you guys see me? Mine has Jake and Hannah on the main screen. Am I on the main screen for you guys? So I wonder if it'll record that way. I don't know what that's about. Pin video, there. Is that better? Or that looks right on mine. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This is our July meeting. Hello, all of you guys. We've got the Colorado team. You see a group of them waving there. And I'm in a different room than normal. I'm just out in the open this time. And that's pretty funny now that I think about my topic. So let us get started by doing some recognition. So this is June recognition. Last Thursday was the 4th of July, so we're a little bit later than normal in doing our recognition, but we're going to run through that. Like Brittany, Jake, and Hannah, I don't have any of your recognition because I can't see that anymore. So in the future, if you guys want me to do that, just send it to me. So this is just for the Central Nation, Balloon Nation. Okay, so new district managers, Tani Espinoza, Marika Prince, I can't say your last name, Marika, I'm sorry. I know who you are. Shanna Rivera and Andrea Sims. So congratulations to you guys. We have, 5 people who got their district manager bonuses, and that's Lindsay Gray, Andrea Trinda, Luana Barrett, Brooke McInerney, Amber Chatham. Congratulations to you guys. And Margaret Thomas got her area manager bonus. And then we have 2 consultants who got their cash bonus award, which is, what was that, $200, right? Or 100, thank you. Okay, so Andrea Sims and Marika. So congratulations, everybody. Y'all can tell there's a lot less recognition than last month, because last month we had the whole the Slaughter Nation, right? Because she was promoting out to Nation, so that includes Simbra and Hannah and Jake and Brittany's group. So congratulations to y'all for popping out, and I got to go over to that meeting on, when was that, Monday? I drove over to Arkansas. It's a few hours away. And so that was fun. And okay, so let's just get down to it. So I don't know how many of you were on, I'm going to switch over to screen so I can see everybody for just a minute. How many of you were on the first call, the first Monday night call that we did, where I talked about my rock? Anybody on there? Okay, so if you haven't listened to that, you'll want to go listen to kind of get the background. So I'm going to give you a really short story. I was out for a walk. I was walking on the sidewalk. I stepped over a rock, and I just heard in my spirit, go back and pick up the rock. So I cannot believe how many lessons I've learned by carrying around this rock. So I'm going to start off by sharing one of those lessons. So, I carried it around for that whole day. And I shared stuff on the call about the rock. Well, later that day, what I heard was, how long are you willing to carry the rock? So what came to mind was that story about the prophet who had the king shoot arrows out the window, or an arrow out the window, and then the prophet told the king to hit the arrows on the ground. So the king did it, but he only hit it 3 times. And the prophet got mad and said, why didn't you do it 5 or 6 times? Your enemies would be defeated. So that all came to mind really quickly. So I said, until you tell me to stop. Okay, so this is my friend. Who knows how long I will be holding my rock. It goes everywhere with me, just like it was last Monday. So I have to tell you a story about this rock. So like I said, I've learned so many lessons, and I think I'm going to do some teachings called Lessons from the Rock. That might be just Facebook Live. It might be a Monday night call. I'm not sure. But, here's the point. God can use anything. There's no magic in this rock. This rock it holds no special powers, right? It's just a rock that God chose to teach me some things. Okay, so we'll be learning some stuff from this rock. But what I want to talk about, my dogs are scratching on the door. We'll see how long until I have to go let them in. Okay, so I went out to eat. I met a friend yesterday. Went out to eat, and I had my rock with me, and I must have set it in my lap. Okay, so when I first got the rock, I was very careful about carrying it around with me all the time, just keeping it in my hand. Well, I kind of got lax with it, and it was always with me, but sometimes I'd set it down and not even realize it. So anyways, I'm halfway through the meal, and I'm like, where's my rock? Where's my rock? And I'm looking through all, I'm looking on the table, looking under the napkins. It was nowhere. So I have to tell my friend about my little rock. She hadn't noticed up till that point. I had to tell her about the rock. And then we started looking under the table. The manager saw, and he comes over and he helps me take the seat of the booth off. We're looking, we're shining our lights. I mean, it's, and I have to say, I'm looking for a rock. That sounds a little bit crazy. Couldn't find it. So then I'm sitting there thinking, I could hardly pay attention to what she was talking about because I was so concerned about my rock, because I committed to carrying it until he says to stop, right? So I was like, this isn't how it's supposed to end. It can't end this way. I have to have my rock. And I told my friend, I am not leaving until I find my rock. I can't leave without my rock. And so, but it was nowhere. So we were there 4 hours, and I'm getting nervous because I'm like, eventually they're going to kick us out, right? Because you just can't live in the restaurant. But I couldn't leave without my rock. So finally, I called the waiter over, who must have been in the back while the manager was helping. And I said, this is going to sound really crazy, but I lost a rock. Have you seen a rock? And he goes, oh, I stepped on a rock and I kicked it over here. Let me go get it. And I was so relieved that he gave me my rock back. But I knew that wasn't how the story was supposed to end. Okay, so that's just one part of the story I have to tell you. So the other thing this represents is the promise. Has God made any of you guys a promise that some days seems really far away? Okay, so he told me that this is my deposit on that promise. So this is just a deposit. So he wants me to hold it until I get the real thing, till I get the fullness of the promise. Okay, so that's why this rock is so important. Like I said, it has no special powers. It's just a representation of what is coming. Okay, so I lost my rock, got it back, and then my friend was going through some trials. So she was in a place of discontentment. Okay, so that was a factor. Then I come back home, and a very dear friend of mine called me out on my junk. You know what I'm saying? I have accountability partners, and one of my accountability partners, who I love dearly, called me out, saying that my actions were not lining up with my words, and she was absolutely right. But it threw me. It threw me because what happened is I was shaken. Okay, so anybody ever have a pity party? Anybody ever just all your stuff comes out all at once and it's just an ugly thing? That's what it was. So, but I'll just do a summary. If anybody wants to know more details, I can do that privately. But in summary, what happened is cracks in my foundation were exposed because those three things happened, boom, 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 and there was another old thing trying to come in too, all at once. Anybody ever feel like that? Where you take a step out, you take a bold move, and then boom, 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 you just get hit. Kind of like on The Incredibles, when that guy's, when Mr. Incredible's running and those black balls hit him and he's just, he gets to where he can't even move. That was my condition yesterday. I couldn't even move. So if you remember on that first Monday night call, I told you that my go-to is to hide. When I feel uncomfortable, I hide. Okay, so I kid you not, we have a media room and it's dark. I don't ever go in there unless I'm watching a movie, but that's where I was headed. I was walking down that hallway to go hide because that is how I cope. Anybody else a hider? You know, some people fight, some people run. I hide. So I was going to this dark room that I normally don't go to, and I heard, "Stay in the light." So I went to my normal spot, which is right here. This is where I work. This is where I do stuff. And it's got natural light that comes in all day long. And as much as I wanted to go to my hiding place, I obeyed and stayed in the light. Okay, there's really a point to all this, I promise. And so the Lord began to walk me through what my cracks were in my foundation. And what he meant by that were, we have beliefs, or I'll just put myself, I'll just use it on myself. I had beliefs or lies that were still in my way of thinking, still in my heart, that needed to come out because they were not true. And so I was limited by those beliefs that I had. So so if you were on the call last week, we talked about how there were fences, that a lot of us are at the fence and we know we're called to more, but it feels almost impossible to step through. Okay, so remember, I had stepped through, and then all that stuff came at me in an attempt to make me go back into the fenced area. And I really wanted to. That's what I wanted. And I mean, I really wanted to. But I obeyed and worked through it. It took me about a day and a half to work all the way through it. And then it just kind of ticked me off. Not ticked me off because I went through that, but ticked me off that there's still things that are trying to keep me. No, I'll tell you what it is, that the enemy is trying to make me go back there. Does that make sense? And I'm fed up. I committed that I'm going forward, that I'm not going to hide. And so I don't know how many of you made a commitment last week, you know, on that Monday, to walk through the fence. Anybody make a commitment? Did anybody take a step and get bombarded? Anybody, or was I the lucky one? Okay, well, anytime that you step through boundaries, that you step out of your comfort zone, things are going to come at you to try to trick you into going back. So what you need to know is it's not a real thing. It can't make you go back. It made me think of like a dog that's on a chain and there's no fence. And so they run like crazy, and then they reach the length of their chain and it pulls them back like that. That's what it was with me. I had gone far and it was trying to pull me back. Anybody else experience this, or am I just talking for myself? Okay. So it was just a lie. They were lies that were trying to keep me there. So the problem is so I had all these emotions come up, right? Now, you guys, I'm telling you this because as we step across, this is going to happen. If it hasn't yet, it will at some point, or people on your teams, it will happen too. So we need to know how to break through that and not stay back there. We're moving forward. Okay, so what happened is all these feelings rose up that felt real. You know, self-pity, nobody wants to hear me, I have nothing to say, all the old stuff, all the same old stuff that kept me back there. And so I had to just get it all out on paper. I don't know how you guys process, but I just write it all out. And once I go back and read it, it's just a bunch of whining and a bunch of lies. But it really feels true, right? Till you get it out into the light. And so I have people too that I can get it out into the light with, because have you ever noticed sometimes when you say stuff out loud that seems so big in your head, once you say it out loud, it's just kind of dumb. And you're like, why was I afraid of that? That doesn't even make sense. So always get it out into the light. So when we have these feelings, don't ignore them. The feelings are there to alert you to the problems in the foundation. Okay, so you've got to feel them, you've got to press into them so you can discover what your cracks are. because all those old beliefs that are trying to make you stay back there and not move forward into your calling and into your destiny. Okay? So go with the feelings or explore the feelings long enough to discover, because most of us abort the process before we get there. And you know what that does? That keeps us going around the same mountain again and again and again. So if you want to move forward, you have to go there. And if you can't go there by yourself, get a friend to go there. Okay? I go there with the Lord, and he shows me what those are. So, but if you need help with that, get a friend. Okay? So, gosh, I just start talking and I don't know, probably nothing that I wrote down here. Okay, so let me go back to something. I want to read you guys something, because who's with me and you're crossing that fence and you're ready to take your promises? Okay, so I believe that's where we are. And hold on, I got to read something that, I put it in my notes. It's not in my pictures. Okay, so all that happens today, right? And I'm just like, I cried half the day just because all these things that have been buried for years that I've kept going around the mountain again and again were just coming to the surface. And that stinks, but it's good because it gets you in a position where you can move forward. But I kid you not, I got this. I follow this guy named Nate Johnson. He's this guy out of Australia. And he said, his post said, checklist to defeating destiny-blocking giants in a season of advancing. Did y'all hear that? I was like, okay, so I'm just going to read part of this. He said, lately the Lord has been speaking to me about the giants that stand in between us and our destiny in a season of advancement and increase. That's what we're in right now. We're in a season of advancement and increase. You guys feel that? You guys know that? Okay. The advancing season we are in right now is a territorial one. Many of you are moving out of lack and into abundance, out of family dysfunction and into peace, out of fear and anxiety, out of identity assassination and derailment of purpose. In any territorial conquest, we face giants, just like David did with Goliath. Now remember my stone. I've got one stone in my hand. The Philistines stood in the very path that Israel needed to go through to advance in the destiny God had called them to. And in the same way, if you and I want to be victorious in stewarding our destiny, we need to learn to take down every threat in our way. So now I'm going to ask you guys this, y'all. You write down whatever comes to mind. So what are the giants we face? What are the giants you are facing right now? If you're not driving, just jot down whatever's coming to mind. I'm going to read some of them. The giants on the road to your destiny. The giant of doubt. The giant of fear of failure. The giant of mind assault and bombarding thoughts. Okay, that was coming at me. The giant of our own insecurities and fears. The giant of assailing voices, chatter, opposition. The giant of accusation. The giant of delay and circumstantial setbacks. The giant of tiredness, weariness, lethargy. The giants of robbery and thievery. The giant of intimidation and bullying. Can you think of any others that you're facing? And I'm going to read this part, and then I'm going to I'll post this once I post this video. I'll also post this because there's more than I want to read on this video. But so here are some examples of what the giants try to do in our lives. Giants intimidate us. They make us feel small and insignificant. They make you feel like you have no voice, that you're powerless. Giants make you fear launching out. They make you feel like God isn't behind you or supporting you. Giants bring up past failures and fears. Giants remind you of past trauma and wounds. I'm going to go back to that one in just a second. Giants create constant blockages, delays, diversions, and distractions. And giants are masters of drama and want your focus to be on them and not Jesus. Okay, does that sound familiar to anybody? Uh-oh. Somebody was calling. Okay, I want to go back to this. Giants remind you of past trauma and wounds. So that's what happened to me. When my friend called me out, when I had asked her to hold me accountable and she did, it wasn't what she said. What she said was absolutely true, and it was done in love. But what it did is it brought up past trauma, where somebody on my team had called me out in a very negative and vicious way. So it brought up that past trauma from that I hadn't even dealt with. I know that sounds dramatic, but that's really what it was. And so the point of that, I lost my train of thought. Hang on just a second. So so why I'm saying that is because a lot of times when you step out and then something comes against you, it's not even what happens. Let's say somebody rejects you. You shared Arbonne with them and somebody rejects you. It's not that. They weren't mean, but because of something that happened way back there, it brings up the old trauma when you were rejected as a child, or, something big and traumatic happened. So as we go into this new land, those giants are going to come. So you have to learn how to identify where that pain is coming from, what's causing those emotions to rise up. So what happens a lot of times is people stop and they think, well, I guess I'm just not supposed to do it since it's not going smoothly. Since it's not going like I thought it would, I'm not supposed to go right now. No, this is a time of advancing. Okay, this is the time of advancing. So if you're coming up against opposition, it's the giants in the land that we're taking. Are you with me? Do you get that? So you have to learn to identify it. And you guys, all these things that I teach, it's not just about Arbonne. Some of you, your biggest giant or the place you need to break through might be with your family. It might be in something completely different than Arbonne, but when you face those things, it affects every area of your life. So don't just limit this stuff to Arbonne, okay? You'd be doing yourself a disservice. This applies to everything. And as you move forward in each area, it's going to help you in all the other areas. Does that make sense? Okay, let's see. What else? I think, let me go in this direction. Okay, so some of the lessons I learned in my pity party, and while all these emotions were rising up, I'm just going to share some of them with you. Maybe it can save you some time and you don't have to spend a day and a half, trying to go back to your old ways. So one of the things is like, we're learning, right? We're not going to do things perfectly. So if you have these high expectations on yourself that you've got to get it right, you're going to be sadly disappointed, right? When we're learning, it's not about perfection. It's just about growing and learning. So leave perfection. For you guys that are perfectionists, you've got to kill that sucker. You got to kill that off, because it's going to hold you back and it's going to keep you back in that land that you don't want to be in anymore. Okay, the second thing I've learned is that feelings are not true. They're not the truth. Feelings are things that they come up from those underlying beliefs. So feelings are going to point the finger to the cracks in the foundations, right? You're not supposed to bury them. You're not supposed to ignore them. You're not supposed to be controlled by them. Some of us get control where we are controlled by our emotions, and we let them rule over us. No, they're there to identify issues that we need to deal with in our heart. Okay. The third thing is you got to decide, are you turning back? So even if you haven't faced a giant, decide right now, are you turning back, or are you going to move forward? No matter what comes, are you committed to moving forward? And are you committed to do it as long as it takes? until he says to stop. Okay. Another one is, are you going to settle for what's back there? Or are you going to receive your promises? I was wanting to settle. I was wanting to go back into hiding because that was safer. That was more comfortable. So are you willing to sacrifice your comfort to receive the promises and to receive your rewards? So in Arbonne's sense, the rewards are there. A lot of times we don't remember that, and we fear that we're never going to get there. They're there, and you'll get there if you keep going. If you go back, maybe not, but if you commit to going forward, you'll get them. Okay, and then how bad do you want it? Do you feel good in your comfort zone? Like, I'm telling you, everything in me wanted to go back to where it was safe and go back to where, nothing could hurt me. That's the lie, that when I hide, nothing can hurt me there. Well, that's silly, because hiding is keeping me from the promises. Did y'all get that? When you go back to the old stuff, that's the very thing that's keeping you from moving forward. So when you try to stay safe and protect yourself, it's really just keeping you from what you want most. Okay, I think that's it, but I want to do a couple more things. How are we on time? Holy cow, it's only 8:30. We did good. I'm always trying to rush it. Okay, so let me think for just a second. I do want to go back. Oh no, let me do that at the end. So I want you, maybe you did this a minute ago, but let's just take a couple of minutes. What I want to do on all these weekly calls is to do a little exercise where you get in touch with what's in your heart. What's in your heart, what's in your mind, okay? So we don't stay stuck, so that we identify what we need to work on and move forward. Okay, so we're gonna, let's just take 2 minutes and write down, if you're not driving, you can write down what are the giants that came to mind. Like, as you think about stepping forward and doing, so in Arbonne, doing the activity that you know you should do. Okay, what giants are you gonna face? When you step forward, let's say to get a handle on your health goals, what giants are you going to face? When you step forward in your goals of, spending quality time with your family or teaching your kids, whatever it is, what are the giants that you know you're going to face? And here's another one. Identify what your tendencies are. So mine is hiding. What is yours? What do you go back to? What's your Egypt that makes you feel safe and comfortable? Okay, so you may need to go and do that, explore that a little more and kind of identify, maybe you still need to go back and identify what the fence is, what is holding you back. Okay, so now I want to talk about on the Monday night calls, I want to start doing some accountability. So I've been working with a coach for, 3 years now. And one thing that I've learned for sure is that accountability is a necessity. Because if we are not accountable to somebody, we let ourselves slide and we let ourselves, stay in our comfort zone. We let ourselves go back to the Egypt. And so in these Monday night calls, what I want to do is each week we're going to start off with a couple of people sharing what they learned through the week. By applying what you learned this week, then what happened from that? What was the result of the activity you did that week? Does that make sense? So we'll have a couple of people share that. But what I want you to do is pair up with a couple of people, like 1 or 2 people, okay, that you want to be accountability partners with. And what you're going to do, and we'll talk about this more on the next call. I'm just kind of laying that out, that you might want to group up. You might want to find your partner, okay? Somebody that you trust, somebody that you want to run with, okay? That maybe somebody that you go at the same speed with, that you're very much compatible. Compatible? Not compatible. Compatible. Don't do it with somebody that you're compatible with. So if you need help, we can always do that, like get with your leader and you can find a partner, or we can do that through Facebook. I'm just laying that groundwork, so you might want to grab a partner. Okay. Then I want to, let's see. So last week we talked about the fences. Okay, and I want y'all, if y'all are where you can get in the chat, I would love for y'all to, I know it's kind of hard on the phone sometimes, but so, Arbonne recognizes when people promote, right? They recognize when they get their bonuses. And so we recognize that, but I also want to start doing some other recognition. But you're going to have to participate in this because I don't know all the things that you guys do. But one of the things we talked about on the last call was the fences. Like, we were all basically a visual of us all standing at the fence, knowing that there's more out there, that we know it's time to go. So how many of you stepped through that fence? How many of you took at least one step forward to the fence? You can raise your hand or you can type it down here in the chat. Got some hands up. Okay, so we're going to clap. I know I'm the only one y'all can hear, but I'm going to give you a woo-woo, because that's a big deal. It's a big deal to step through your fears. It's a big deal to be brave and courageous and go outside of where you've been. Okay, so we're going to start recognizing things like this, things where you applied the things that we taught the week before. We want to start recognizing the progress. Because going from our comfort zone into new territory, it's scary, and we need each other's support. We need to move together, and you need to be acknowledged for your progress. Even if you're a crawler, that's okay. And if you crawled one elbow forward, that's progress. And so we're not just going to reward people acknowledge people who are moving fast, right, and going up the levels in Arbonne. We want to acknowledge people who are moving forward no matter the pace, because it's a big deal, okay? So that we'll kind of start on that next week. But is anybody willing to share maybe one of the things that we learned, a week and a half ago, and that you actually stepped out? So there was a fence, you knew it, but you took a step out. Is anybody willing to share what happened, how you felt, how you pushed through, how you overcame the fear that came? Anybody? You'll have to raise your hand or take yourself off mute.
I can share. Yeah, I started in the group that Margaret Thomas has been doing, about the Going Area group, which has made me, like, in her first soul call, she talked about, it was going to make us come up against our terror barriers. And it definitely has. And then now we've rolled in with the RVP to B calls that Cecilia's doing, and like the homework this week, that's a whole nother level. But yeah, this past week I've made myself, that's my fear. I mean, reaching out and especially like asking people to host or asking people about the business has always been one of those huge things that I have a really hard time doing. And I have reached out to, I don't even know how many people in the last week, and had some yeses to hosting, and had a business chat with a girl today. And so it's been good, but there's also been a lot of, the giants coming up. Like we had one of the parties was a Zoom party last night, and the hosts invited like 45 people, didn't just post it on our Facebook, but personally invited like 45 people, and not one person got on. So it was just she and I, but it's okay. It's like actually doing it has kind of shifted my mindset, where in the past I would have been exactly what she said. Well, see, this isn't going to work. This isn't for me. I'm just going to go back in my room and forget about it. And it hasn't done that this time.
Yay. Clap, clap, clap. That's progress. That's forward movement.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Okay, well, we're going to start getting good at sharing, because we're going to get opportunities every week to share. So kind of how I want y'all to look at this is like, this is a group effort. It takes a whole team. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to break through barriers on your own. In fact, you can't. Oh, and I'm so glad. Hang on. I wanted to read something. So this scripture came to mind today, and it's Ecclesiastes 4:12, and it said, though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. That's why we want to get some accountability groups going, because you need it. I'm just going to be real honest. You need it. If you're going into new territory, nobody survives on their own. You got to move with people. Okay, so I think that's it. Anything else that I forgot, ladies and guys? If there's a guy, I think Jake's gone now. Okay, well, so the next call will be Monday. I don't know the date. Anybody know? This Monday the 15th at 8:30. And okay, I think that's it. Oh, yeah, and we're doing a 3-day giveaway beginning. Marlena, what are the dates on that? I don't have my calendar.
It's the 16th through the 18th.
Okay.
So it's next Tuesday.
Okay, so we'll get an invite going for that.
Yeah, and I'll make that group, I guess, and open it up probably this weekend.
Okay.
Saturday.
Okay, well, I'm glad you guys joined us, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys Monday nights. I think going forward, so let me explain the Monday and the Thursday call. So we had a Thursday Nation meeting, and then we decided later to add the Monday. So we're going to drop the Thursday and just go to Monday nights. And Margaret, I need to verify with you that that's okay. But unless you hear otherwise, we're just going all Mondays. Okay? All right, we'll see you on Monday. Thanks for joining. Oh, and make sure I forgot this. Did you commit to doing something? So one of the things is commit to what you're going to do the following week or this week, okay? So make a commitment and get with your partner and tell them what your commitment is, and make it something that is tangible, okay? Don't just say, I'm going to do more. Say, I'm going to talk to 5 people a day or whatever it is, okay? So, all right, we'll see you Monday. Bye.